Ever feel like you need a PhD just to manage your own money? Yeah, you are not alone. Today, we're going to bust the myth that complicated financial plans are somehow better. We're going to show you why keeping it simple is actually the smartest move you can make for your wealth. Let's dive in.
And this really is the core question, isn't it? If the best financial advice is so simple it could literally fit on an index card, why do we bury ourselves in all these complex tools and strategies? Because it doesn't lead to better returns. It just leads to more confusion, more stress, and honestly, worse results.
So, how are we going to untangle this whole mess? Well, we're going to tackle it in 5 simple steps. First, we'll talk about what the complexity paradox even is. Then, we'll dig into the psychology of why we're so drawn to it. After that, we'll uncover the hidden costs, and then, the good part, we'll pivot to the real power of keeping things simple. And finally, we'll see why clarity, not cleverness, is the real key to winning this game.
All right, let's start with the problem itself. You know, the financial world today is like a fire hose of information. Endless products, conflicting advice, just constant noise. It's all supposed to empower us, right? But does it? A lot of the time, it just makes everything way more confusing.
And look, this isn't just a vague feeling. It has real, tangible consequences. When things get too complicated, we get confused. That confusion leads directly to stress. And what happens when we're stressed and confused? We delay taking any action at all. You might have heard of it, analysis paralysis. And when we finally do something, the results are often way worse than if we had just stuck to a simple, boring plan from the start.
So, if we know that complexity is bad for us, why do we keep falling for it? Well, the answer is pretty much all in our heads. It's a psychological trap. This comparison right here just nails the emotional pull. Complex plans feel advanced, they feel sophisticated, impressive, they make us feel smart, like we're in on some secret. And simple plans, well, they feel basic, kind of boring, almost too easy. And our brains are just hardwired to be suspicious of anything that seems too easy. And that's the trap right there. We mistake complexity for effectiveness. It gives us this illusion that we're in control, that we're outsmarting the market with our super intricate strategy. But here's the thing. The market doesn't reward you for how smart your plan sounds. It rewards you for consistent execution over and over for a long time. This quote from A Invest just hits the nail on the head. Even the smartest people out there are not immune to making emotional mistakes. In fact, sometimes having a high IQ can make it even worse because it leads to overconfidence. A complex system might look incredible on paper, but it often just amplifies our emotional biases when things get stressful.
And that emotional toll, it's not just a feeling. It comes with a very real price tag. So what does it actually cost to try and be smart with your money?
This is what it looks like in the real world. This happens to everyone. I mean, think about it. Accounts scattered across 10 different banks, getting conflicting advice from 3 different people, a portfolio full of funds that are all secretly holding the exact same stocks. That's not diversification. It's just organized chaos that costs you a ton of time and, of course, money.
All of this leads to something experts call the behavior gap. And this is so key. It's the gap between a fund's official advertised return and the much lower return the average person actually gets to keep. So why is there a gap? Because our complicated plans and our emotional reactions cause us to panic sell when prices are low and buy in out of FOMO when they're high. We sabotage our own results year after year.
And that's because these complex systems are incredibly fragile. They depend on you having perfect discipline, perfect timing, and perfect emotional control 24/7. But life isn't perfect, right? When the market panics or you're under stress at home, those complicated rules are the very first thing to go right out the window. Simple systems, on the other hand, are built to survive reality.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. This is where we see why focusing on less can actually give you so much more.
The guiding idea here is a principle from way back in the 14th century called Occam's razor. It basically says that the simplest explanation is usually the right one. And when we apply this to finance, it means the strategy with the fewest moving parts, the fewest assumptions, and the fewest decisions is almost always the most effective one.
And the data totally backs this up. A Morningstar analysis found that only 47% of active fund managers, the people you pay high fees for their complex strategies, actually managed to beat their simple, passive competitors. Think about that for a second. You have less than a coin flip chance that the smarter, more expensive fund will actually do any better. Vanguard has a really great way of explaining this. They call it the zero-sum game. So imagine all investors as one big group. Before you factor in any fees, their collective return is the market average.
For every winner, there has to be a loser. But, and this is the crucial part, as soon as you add in fees and trading costs, the average investor's return has to fall below the market average. It's just simple math.
This right here is the simple, brutal math of investing. Every single fraction of a percent you pay in fees for that fancy, complex strategy is a fraction of a percent that comes directly out of your pocket. It's a headwind you have to fight against just to break even with the market. And over decades, that cost drag is absolutely devastating to your wealth.
And this image just says it all, doesn't it? The whole idea behind the book, The Index Card, is that all the financial advice you truly need can fit on one simple card. It's not about finding some secret formula. It's about mastering a few fundamental, powerful rules.
Okay, this brings us to our final and I think most important section. It's all about a fundamental shift in your mindset. The goal isn't to outsmart everyone else. The real goal is to build a system that you can actually stick with year after year, no matter what.
And the benefits of that simplicity? They're profound. A simple system cuts through all the noise. It means you have to make fewer decisions, which means you have fewer chances to mess things up. It keeps your costs way down, and it reduces that constant anxiety of, am I doing this right? But most importantly, it gives you the confidence to stay the course when things get choppy.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Warren Buffett, who is arguably the most successful investor in history, has said over and over again that for most people, the best path is to simply buy low-cost index funds. He gets it. He knows that winning isn't about brilliance, it's about avoiding high fees and just letting the market do its work for you.
So, if you remember one thing, let it be this. Consistency will always beat the endless chase for optimization. A good plan that you can actually follow through market booms and busts is infinitely better than some perfect plan that you abandon the second things get tough.
Let's end on this thought, because it's so important. Choosing a simple strategy isn't lazy, it isn't uninformed. It is a strategic choice. It's recognizing that the biggest risks to our own wealth are usually our emotions and all those unnecessary costs. Simplicity is what allows a plan to actually survive in the real world. It's not just easier, it's stronger.